Imagine this. Out in the deserts of the American Southwest, there's this chunky, slow, venomous lizard called the Gila monster. The name sounds like it should be fighting Godzilla, but nope, it's real. And here's the kicker. This lazy reptile ended up inspiring one of the most famous drugs on Earth, Ozempic. Now, Ozempic wasn't meant to make celebrities red carpet skinny. It was built for type 2 diabetes. But then doctors noticed, wait, patients are also losing weight. Their hearts look healthier, maybe even Alzheimer's risk? That's when it went from prescription drug to household name faster than you can say pharmaceutical gold rush. Of course, fame comes with drama. Rumor has it Hollywood stars, already thinner than Wi-Fi signals, are taking these meds to get even slimmer. Meanwhile, actual patients sometimes can't get their prescriptions filled. Fair? Not really. But then again, is it fair to call people with diabetes lazy just because they're finally getting help from a drug that works? Big questions. But before we judge, let's rewind and ask, how the heck can one medicine be this powerful? So here's the deal with the Gila monster. It barely eats, maybe a couple of times a year. But when it does, oh boy, it swallows a meal equal to half its body weight. That's like a 200-pound guy eating a 100-pound cheeseburger. Don't try that. Your ER bill will not be worth the YouTube views. And yet, its blood sugar stays perfectly calm. No wild spikes, no crashes, just steady, smooth as butter. The secret sauce? A molecule in its venom called Exendin-4. And humans? We make something similar called GLP-1. GLP-1 helps regulate sugar and makes us feel full. Sounds great, except our version fizzles out in minutes, while the Gila monster sticks around for hours. Nature basically gave this lizard a time-release metabolism hack. And scientists thought, what if we could steal that trick without, injecting venom into people? Now, scientists had been sniffing around this mystery for decades. Back in the 1930s, they noticed, when you eat sugar, your body handles it way better than if you just inject sugar into your blood. Yes, people did that for science, don't. Clearly, the gut was whispering some secret message to the pancreas. Since nobody knew what the messenger was, they called it Incretins, which is basically science speak for, something's happening, we'll figure it out later. Fast forward to the 70s and 80s, and bingo, they find two big players, GLP-1 and GIP, both directly tied to insulin and blood sugar. In other words, they just found the secret switches that go haywire in diabetes. Alright, quick pit stop, why do we even care? Type 1 diabetes usually starts in childhood. It's like your immune system wakes up one morning and says, those insulin-making cells, let's destroy them. Without insulin, sugar just floats in your blood. Kids with type 1 literally depend on daily insulin shots to survive. Miss a dose and things can spiral fast. Type 2 diabetes shows up later. The body still makes insulin, but your cells basically stop listening, like teenagers ignoring chores. That's insulin resistance. The pancreas keeps shouting louder, pumping out more insulin until it gets exhausted and quits. Sugar climbs and the damage piles up. And we're not just talking about feeling a little tired. We're talking blindness, kidney failure, amputations, heart attacks, the world's worst greatest hits album. So when a chunky desert lizard seemed to have a fix, yeah, scientists perked right up. Enter the 1990s. A scientist named John Eng realizes Exendin-4 could be turned into a diabetes drug. He pitches it and investors are like, wait, you want us to fund Venom therapy? Not the most confidence-boosting sales pitch. But Eng doesn't give up. Eventually his idea becomes Byetta in 2005, and boom, first proof that reptile chemistry could actually help humans. Safe, effective, and zero lizard bites required. And this was just the opening act. Soon, GLP-1 drugs would get upgraded, rebranded, and supercharged, leading all the way to Ozempic and Wegovy. Before this revolution, what did doctors have? Honestly, kind of clunky tools. For type 1, insulin shots. Life-saving? Yes. Fun? Nope. Multiple injections every single day for life. That's dedication. For type 2, older meds lowered sugar but often caused weight gain. So patients would control diabetes, only to end up more obese, which then made the diabetes worse. That's not medicine. That's a hamster wheel of suffering. One decent option was metformin, a drug from the French lilac. Cheap, safe, and didn't cause weight gain. But for lots of patients, it just wasn't strong enough. Doctors needed a game changer. In the 2000s, researchers tried DPP-4 inhibitors. Instead of giving GLP-1 directly, these drugs block the enzyme that destroys it. Clever idea, but the effect? Meh. Like fixing a broken dam with duct tape. Then Byetta came along, straight GLP-1 delivery. It worked so well that the next question was obvious. How do we make this easier and more powerful? Cue longer-acting versions, from 2 shots a day to 1 shot a week. Then Denmark's Novo Nordisk steps up with Victoza in 2010. Not only did it control sugar, but patients also started dropping weight. For the first time, a diabetes drug doubled as a diet aid. 2 birds, 1 syringe. Some patients on Victoza lost so much weight they weren't even obese anymore. Scientists went, wait, what if we just crank the dose? Could this be a straight-up obesity drug? Answer, yes. In 2014, the high-dose version launched as Saxenda. Suddenly, we weren't just fighting diabetes, we were fighting the global obesity crisis. And remember, up until then, the only real fix for severe obesity was bariatric surgery, shrinking or rerouting the stomach. Now there was a shot that could mimic surgery-level results without the knives. That's not just treatment, that's disruption. Novo Nordisk wasn't done. They tweaked GLP-1 again so it stuck around even longer, about a week, by attaching it to albumin. That gave us semaglutide, sold as Ozempic for diabetes and Wegovy for obesity. This was huge. Patients weren't just losing 5 to 10% of body weight, they were hitting 15% or more. That's like a 300-pound person dropping 45 pounds just from weekly injections. Life-changing. And then the surprises. People reported drinking less alcohol. Early studies hinted at benefits for Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, heart health. Suddenly, this wasn't just a diabetes drug. It was starting to look like a platform for human health in general. Meanwhile, US rival Eli Lilly had a thought. If GLP-1 is this good, what if we combine it with GIP, the other incretin? Enter Tirzepatide, sold as Mounjaro for diabetes and Zepbound for obesity. The results? People lost an average of 20% of their body weight. Some matched or beat bariatric surgery results without anyone cutting them open. At that point, the medical world basically said, game changed. Of course, nothing's perfect. These drugs can cause nausea, vomiting, constipation. Basically, your stomach might revolt before it cooperates. Rarely, there's pancreatitis. And because these drugs are still new, we don't know all the long-term effects of decades of use. Socially, demand exploded. Suddenly, people without diabetes or obesity wanted them just to slim down. That led to shortages, leaving some patients scrambling. Meanwhile, food and soda companies are panicking. Their best customers aren't as hungry anymore. Imagine McDonald's boardroom. People on Ozempic don't want fries. What now? That's the world we're walking into. Here's the truth, these drugs aren't cures. Stop taking them and blood sugar shoots back up, hunger returns, weight creeps back. They're tools, powerful ones, but not replacements for eating well and moving your body. Still, in terms of reducing obesity, diabetes, and heart disease, GLP-1 drugs might be the biggest breakthrough since antibiotics. And it all started with a venomous desert lizard that just wanted to nap and eat bunnies twice a year. So, moral of the story? Basic research matters. Because sometimes, studying reptile spit is what ends up saving millions of lives. So yeah, from desert lizards to blockbuster drugs, science has a weird way of saving lives. If you enjoyed this ride, hit that like button, maybe subscribe, because the next big discovery could come from the edge of space, or the bottom of the ocean.